We have already done 3 constructions that require sewing before you cut so that you tame the bias seam. This is one more. This is a 4th one. We've done half square triangles, quarter square triangles, and flying geese. And this is one, I don't even know what this one's called, but this is the unit right in here. Can you see it here? And can you see it here? It's a half square triangle, and then the other side is half of a quarter square triangle. So give me a name for it. I don't have one, but I want to show you how we get this. It makes wonderful star patterns like this. I'm showing you 2 versions of the star that we'll be playing with to try this technique. One is where the main point star is a dark fabric and the smaller point stars are a coordinated fabric. In this one, the main star is a print and the smaller point stars are a stronger. So either way, that is totally up to you. I mean, strong main, strong points that are here, absolutely doesn't make any difference. But what we need to do is for a block like this, which is 10 inches square, and you'll have all these instructions later, what we need to do is take 2 squares, 5.5 by 5.5, this is to make a 10-inch block, of what will be the main star fabric, and then 1 square, 5.5 by 5.5, of the coordinating smaller point. I'm using this fabric. It's already tucked into here, so I can't show you the whole piece. I did a little pre-sewing for you, but that's my coordinated fabric, and then here is my background. What I first do is take one of the 5.5-inch main star fabrics, the big star, the one in the front, and I put it right sides together to the background fabric, and I've done that for you here. So here is my smaller star fabric. You can see it in here. Right sides together to the background, and as we've done before, you're going to draw diagonals. In this case, you draw one diagonal from point to point, and then you draw another complete diagonal from point to point. And this time, instead of sewing on one side or sewing on half of it, what you're going to do is sew next to each of your pencil lines. But starting on the outside, I'm doing it here so you don't have to watch me sew. And you sew from here all the way down to the line here that you have drawn. Don't go past the drawn line. You've drawn 2, you're sewing from outside and stopping here. It doesn't matter, you don't have to back tack, it's okay. Just gently take it out, turn around, do the same thing here. From the outside to the inside, stopping right at the drawn line. One more time, here to the drawn line, and the last one here to the drawn line. The sewing line will always be on the same side of the drawn line as the other 3. Then, again, sew before you cut. So I have sewed, now I can cut. Now I can cut on my, let me be sure I don't make a mistake on this. I got it. Here it is. Once and twice. Again, on the drawn line, which is the cutting line, after you sew. It's a good idea to use a slightly different thread so you can see what you're doing. This then opens up into 4 units of your secondary star point. And one more. Then I take it to the iron, which of course I need to plug in or it won't work. And press all of these away from the background. And you will wind up with 4 units just like this. So this is looking a little familiar now, isn't it? We've done things that look like this before. 1, 2, again, press away from the background. And one more time, away from the background. So here you are with 4 units. Come back to the cutting table, and now let's take one of your main star. This is the big star, the one that's in the front, and I'm going to take 2 of these, and I'm going to put them right sides together. Use a different one. Right sides together and right sides together, just like that. And they will be smaller than the big one because I always give you extra. This is so that you are able to trim. So again, 1 main star fabric, 2 of these little ones. Tuck a pin in it so you can get it to the machine without it moving. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to cut right down the middle. Don't worry about it being accurate. I've given you extra. I've just kind of roughly put these together. I'm cutting right down the middle. And now let's come to the machine. Handle it gently because you do have a bias here right now. And now that I have put these together, I'm going to sew. I think I've caught, you know what, I have caught my fabric in here, so let me just grab another one. It's done exactly the same. You are dealing with a bias on the big one, so handle it gently. Okay, and come out of the machine, back to the cutting table. And now when I open it, this is what I found. This is the unit that I just showed you. I'm going to press this away from the constructed piece. And now because I gave you extra, we're going to trim this. And trim it to 4.5 for this project. Other projects will require something different. When you trim, be sure the seam line, the long seam line, is on the diagonal line of your ruler. And because you are cutting to 4.5, find the midway point, which is 2 1/4. So pop 2 1/4 right here in the center. Be careful that your seam line is exactly on. Here we go. 1.5. And now I can trim. I have a lot excess to trim, but that's okay. That gives you plenty of room to have made an error in size. Notice how my seam comes right to the corner. Let's find 4.5 now, because again, for this project, that's the size you need. Other projects will be different. Diagonal line on the ruler, on the seam line, and let's get this just right. And that's the unit, and that's all there is to it.